my friend's sister, Sarah. She lent me this a long, long time ago, and it's an Ocarina of Time, an official Nintendo guide. Now, unfortunately, it's been a long, long time, and sadly, the thing has actually fallen off the front pages. But you used to get these in like official Nintendo magazine, official Sega, official PlayStation. I imagine Xbox, Nintendo, official Nintendo magazine as well. Yeah, it's just very, very cool. Bit of cool trivia there for you. And that came in two parts. Unfortunately, I don't have the front pages anymore, sadly. But yeah, it is quite cool. I found it when I was moving the other week, so I technically only borrowed these, so I should really give them back, but it has been. It must be about 20 years, something like that. If you want it back, Sarah, you can have it back. I do apologise. But yeah, so there's that one. Next thing, so cheat books, as we talked about before. Well, I've mentioned it, I guess. You know, I'm like, I dabble. The first one that's a cheat book, which was actually one of the last ones I think we got, which was PS3, PSM3, which is world's best online games. Quite a cheap one in terms of, like, obviously no colour paging and stuff. Little Big Planet. These are the best online games. Killzone 2? I thought that was a PS2 game. To be honest, and I'm still a PlayStation guy. I'm more a PlayStation guy than an Xbox guy, really. I grew up with PlayStation. As I said many times in my videos, I felt quite guilty because I kind of forgot that Sega existed with a Saturn. I really, really want a Saturn one day. I really am interested in it. It's just such an interesting system. But unfortunately, Sega, it was kind of Sega's downfall. The Dreamcast came back and did well for a small amount of time. But unfortunately, the PS2 was just too big. And they'd also made so many bad decisions in terms of that's good. World at War is probably that, or Black Ops is probably the best Call of Duty they've ever made, in my humble opinion. Anyway, yeah, I would say even compared to the ones they used to play on PC, the very first ones and stuff. So, but yeah, I probably this generation. My brother got a 360. I got a PS3, and there was nothing to play on PS3 for so long. There was nothing that personally interested me as a gamer. The one thing that I would still want. I've only got a PS3 Slim, the original Slim, not the Super Slim. I'd want a 60 gig one. I used to have one, and then it broke. And I got another one. I think I got another one refurbed from Sony, but I decided, like an idiot, to sell it because I moved to PC gaming after that. So, Unreal Tournament, never played Tom Clancy's Hawk. Team Fortress 2, that's a weird one because that's more PC based. Street Fighter 4. So, yeah, Soul Calibur. But as you can see, so that's the more modern ones. I've got a few others somewhere as well. So let's go back really far back into the past. Barring the pages that don't have writing all over the goddamn things. Because they do. So we have Platinum Tips. This is PS1. It's pretty tatty, to be honest. Yeah, PS1. So what we got in here then? So these are cheats. I used to also remember, like, what we got in it. We've got Abe's Odyssey, Adidas Power Soccer, Alien Trilogy, Buster Move 2, Command and Conquer. Command and Conquer, brilliant game. Cool Borders, I adored Cool Borders, but I played the demo so many times. Crash Bandicoot 1, Crash Bandicoot 2, Croc Legend of the Gobos, I played that. That has just been re-released in like a remaster. Destruction Derby 2 is the one I played them a great deal of. That was fun as hell. Die Hard Trilogy. That's the release game I got. Well, I think it was a release game. I got it with my PS1 and Tomb Raider 2, which I don't know. Tomb Raiders. I don't want to throw too much shade at Tomb Raider because I had a great deal of fun throwing Lara off the highest cliffs and seeing what body part broke most. I did get into it a little bit and play a little bit, but it's a very, very janky game by today's standards. But still fun nonetheless. Yeah, Die Hard Trilogy. The first game was the one we had to defuse the bombs. That was fun. It was also, I believe, on Sega Saturn. Die Hard 2 was the one we had to. No, Die Hard 2 was the first person shooter one. Yeah, it wasn't bad. Didn't get very far in it as a kid. And then the third one I never got very far at all, which was Dardwood of Vengeance, and you had to drive in a car and dispose all the bombs. So Excalibur never played. Fade to Black. I think I played. Did I play that on Amiga? I think I might have done. Final Doom. Never played Final Doom, but Doom's awesome. I played the original Doom on PS1. That's one I'd like to get on PS1 because it's a really, really nice thing. G-Police, never played it. Heart of Darkness, heard of it. International Track and Field. Micro Machines V3, or was that version 3? I played them on Mega Drive when you had the controller ports in the actual cart, and you could get up to like 4 players. It was awesome, but ironic, there would always be someone that would tug the controller, pulling the cartridge, crashing the entire game, which is hilarious. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Mortal Kombat's always good. Ridge Racer. I played a bit of the first one. Ridge Racer Revolution. Never played that. I played Ridge Racer Type 4. Is it the one with the? There's like a female character that waves you to go. I can't remember what the character's name is or anything like that, but still, yeah. Soul Blade. Isn't Soul Blade what Soul Calibur became? I think. Soviet Strike. Tekken 1 and 2. Tekken 1 and 2 are good, but they show their age. Tekken 3 is the one I would say is probably the best one of that PS1 era of games. Loved Eddie. I know people hate playing as Eddie. Like, Eddie, it's not fair, it's cheating. Eddie's awesome. Time Crisis, yeah, I played that. Tokka Touring Cars was incredible. That was one of the most realistic games I'd ever played at the time. I absolutely adored that. And when I used to get fed up of it, I should just turn around and go the other way around the track. As most people did. Tomb Raider 1, Tomb Raider 2, Total Driving, Twisted Metal. Never played Twisted Metal. Heard people said the good things about it. V-Rally. And Wipeout's one I never got into. So, as you can see. And the cheats are quite elaborate. You know, Abe's Odyssey level select. Hold R1. Up, right, left, right. Square, circle, square, triangle, circle, square. You know, these are the kind of things, you know, you have... Adidas Power Socket, a woman's voice during the arcade mode, like, you know what I mean? It's this is a different generation. You had to work at this stuff to unlock stuff, and you didn't just buy DLC from codes. It just didn't work like that. There was no such thing as DLC. If you got a game that had that was bricked in somewhere or had a software glitch or some issue with the level design, you had to send it back, because if it didn't work, you couldn't play it and clear it. And there's I think there's a version of Turok, I'm not sure if it's Turok 3 or Turok Rage Wars, that has that exact issue, and they had to re-release it again. So Alien Trilogy, that's a good one. I remember playing a little bit of that. Bust a Move I've never played. I think it's a puzzle type game, isn't it? But like, I remember with it's not a very good game. In fact, it's absolutely terrible compared to SmackDown 1 and 2 on PS1, and obviously the No Mercy games on N64. But the WWF Raw, no, WWE, no, WWF Warzone and Attitude. Attitude I played quite a bit of, and going back to it now, it's dreadful. If you want to do, like, I think like to do a stunner, it was like up, down, up, down, up, down, triangle, or up, down, triangle, or up, down, triangle, square, and it's just so unbelievably complicated to do a finishing move on stuff and games like that. But even the annoyances of this old stuff in games that weren't necessarily good, they're still very much fun in terms of, like, they make you work for everything, and that's kind of what gaming used to be about. Nowadays, it's not like that at all. It's very much, you know, it's just, I guess everything is comfortable. See, I've never done this one before. So Super Password, Crash Bandicoot, and I've got Crash Bandicoot 3 on PS3 digitally, but I'd love to get the games, the original games. I know you can get the remastered trilogy. But look at that, Super Password. Enter at the following sequence at the password screen to access to all 32 levels, all gems and both keys. After entering the first line, 2 or more lines will automatically appear. I mean, bloody hell. Triangle, 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 X, square, triangle, triangle, triangle. These are the kind of things that just they make you work for it. GoldenEye on N64 there was one for a level select for that. No, not level select, sorry, character selection. So you could pick any of the bonds, like so your Sean Connery, your Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, Pierce Brosnan. I don't think they included George Lazenby in that, actually. I'm not sure on that one. I'll have to check that. So many things that sort of come into my head. But that's another one, so Die Hard Trilogy. Another one. Let's do this one first. This is Dino Crisis and Star Wars Episode 1 Guide. If there's any funny pictures in it, it's because this is a cheat one, you can tell just by looking at it. So there's a full Dino Crisis guide with black and white pictures. So I apologise for the clarity. This has just been re-released on PSN, sadly with no trophies, which sucks. But you know, it is what it is, I guess. But it gives you all the things. I like Dino Crisis. I really want to see Dino Crisis come back. It absolutely didn't. I don't think that's a picture from Dino Crisis. That's from something else completely. And it also has Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Now, this is it's not a bad game, but it's not a good game in my opinion. This is also, I think, this is also released on PSN. And the one I love is the Jedi Power Battles. It's janky as out, and it's not the great. It has a lot of glitches, graphical glitches and stuff, but it's still brilliant nonetheless. I think it's just so much fun. But this is the one that came before. I remember this because I got this for my 16th birthday. And I never did clear. I think I got to about Naboo or maybe the level after that. But it was really quite difficult. And this was on PC as well. So it might have been on Dreamcast. Was it Dreamcast? I can't quite remember. Because Dreamcast came out, was it 99, and PS2 and Xbox didn't appear till about 2000, and was it 2001? Was it 2000? Something like that. I can't remember the top of it. So it's an interesting game. It's one to definitely check out and to try, although I'd recommend Jedi Power Battles over this, to be honest. That was re-released as well, enhanced edition with better graphics. I would hope they fixed some of the graphical glitches, but it was co-op. Sadly, I don't think the new version. I think it's still couch co-op on the PS5 and Series X and S, and I imagine PC as well. But yeah, so another interesting one. These are just good look backs on things. Another one. We've got Your Most Wanted cheats. So this is again N64, Dreamcast, Game Boy Color, original Xbox, PC, PS1, Game Boy Advance, and of course PS2. And I mean, that's a lot. Yeah, Games Master as well. They were awesome in the 90s. Tips books, man. There's something about it. Legacy of Kain, Jet Set Radio, Capcom vs SNK, Headhunter. That's on Dreamcast. I remember playing the demo for that on PS2. That was the one with the dude with the shades on a bike. I can't remember what kind of game it was. Exactly. I know it was action, but there's so many. There was all sorts of other cool stuff, you could get as well with, depending on they all would throw shade at each other. So PlayStation was referred to by Nintendo as Gay Station, I think, at one point, and my PlayStation pad has decided to pick up what I'm saying. I don't understand. Oh yeah, it's got a bloody microphone on the thing. I always forget about that. Buffy on Game Boy. I've never played that. I enjoyed playing what I played of Buffy on my Xbox 360. That was pretty good. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Perfect Dark. Oh dear. Sorry, apologies. Rocking the thing. Perfect Dark is it's a shame the new game got cancelled. That needs to be sold on to someone that actually gives a damn about IP and franchises. Link's Awakening, I've never played that original one. I've got the remake on Switch, but I'd love to pick that up. But I haven't finished the other one. So, and as you've seen from my other videos in the past, like whether I actually finish it or not. Pokemon Crystal, that's one I've never played, and it's quite a pricey one now as well. I think it's over 100, must be over £100 if not more now. Even tells you where all the Pokemon are. Look at that. That's dedication. Oh my god, it goes on forever. Look at that. That's mad. It lists the different routes, what town it's in. And there was it 250 in gold and silver and crystal? Because I think crystal was the one where you could play as a girl for the first time, which you'd think you'd be able to do that before that, but that's what, yeah, it just goes on and on and on, man. That's impressive. Oh, we got red as well, Pokemon Red. Pokemon Gold, there's even Fight Carry from Stadium 2. I have yet to pick up Stadium 2, sadly. It's one I would like to pick up, but there's like so many things. It's another one I'd like to pick up. Like, fortunately, I've only got so much time and so much money, and I'm still trying to finish my DS collection of the Pokemon games. I've only got like, I think there's Heart Gold, Soul Silver, as I've said this before, Black 2, then Moon, Sun, Ultra Moon, and then Ultra Sun. I think that's all of them. I might be missing one. Oh, and Platinum. Oh, I've even got cheat codes for Jedi Power Battles there. Oh, I might have to try that. That'd be kind of cool. So, as you can see, like, there's a lot of Age of Empires as well. Championship Manager, I used to play that. Before it became Football Manager, WCW. I wonder if there's any ones in here for No Mercy. Because that game used to kick my ass. Majora's Mask is what I'm trying to get my hands on. But, for N64, but I haven't got the expansion pack. So I was thinking about either picking up on GameCube, but I'd love to get an original cartridge of it. There we are. So GoldenEye, Invincibility. Apologies, my camera's not really doing a very good job of focusing. Invincibility cheat is press R, left, L, down, left, right, up, down, right, left C, L, left C, L, R, left, L, R, right, L. Jeez Louise. And all guns, invincibility, invincible ammo, invisibility in multiplayer mode. That's cheating. Paintball mode was good. I think I said there was one in here for no multiplayer radar. Oh, that would make it difficult. Titchy Bond, throwing knives, fast animations, enemy rockets. Oh, and there's all the level selects for all of it as well. All the different levels. Neat. I might give that a go. Yeah, bonus characters as well. Wow, there's loads, man. But, what year is this from? It doesn't actually say. It's a shame. Well, given the era, it's going to be obviously 2000, late 90s, early 2000s, I'm assuming. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So you've got Rogue Squadron. That's one that needs the expansion pack. Turok 2 Seeds of Evil. That's another one I need for an expansion pack. South Park 64 is an absolutely dreadful game. I hate that game with a passion. And yet, I played it on PS1. The draw distances were terrible because obviously there's fog, so you get. Or you just go around and kill mad chickens. That's all it is. It's not a great game. The Stick of Truth and the sequel, I can't remember what it's called. Is it Butthole? I can't remember what it's called. Got it on Steam. I've played a little bit of it. But yeah, terrible. The old games really are quite terrible. Diddy Kong Racing. That is very close to being as good as Mario Kart 64. I had so much fun with that. Driving to the races as well as racing. Mario 64 is brilliant. I still think it holds up. Mission Impossible, janky to say the least, and a very unforgiving game. I've got it on N64. Doesn't require the expansion pack, but it doesn't really have the licenses from the films, so it's a weird one. Warzone we spoke about. Mario Kart 64, Body Harvest, GoldenEye. Iggy's Wrecking Balls, never played it. Forsaken, Extreme G 2. Glover's one that goes for quite a lot now, I think, as well. Enter the Gecko, that was also on PS1, I believe. But I believe that had different voices depending on where you were. So if you're in the US, you had a different voice to the UK version and vice versa. Scars, Duke Nukem 64. I played one of the Duke Nukems. It was alright. I didn't really think that much to it, but it was very popular in the 90s. Scars, as I said, never heard. Clay Fighter. 33, and there's one called, is it 33 and a half, are extremely expensive games now. Quake 64, never played it. Tetris Fear, which is I presume it's like a Tetris sort of side spin-off game. Ragu Kids, I imagine that's the expensive one. Madden, San Francisco Rush, I've heard of that, never played it. F1, never played it. No, actually, so I think I have played it once, actually, saying that. Yoshi's Story. Doom 64 is brilliant. I think Doom 64 is nearly as good as the original Doom. Biofreaks, that's one I've never played. I think I've heard of it, but I imagine it's more on the expensive side. Buster Move, again, never played it. Wetrix, never played it. Robotron 64, I think that's a popular one, quite an expensive one. Snowboard Kids, I think that's one I've seen a few times. All-Star Baseball. Top Gear Rally, I've never actually played, but I have got the, I don't know if it's the same game or if it's a spin-off. I've got Top Gear Overdrive, which is possibly one of the worst racing games in terms of controls I've ever played. The controls are just horrendous. It's the only one I would use. I used to love these old books because N64 Pro magazine, I don't know if they're still around today for Switch and stuff, I have no idea. I haven't really bought a magazine in, must be 10, 15 years. Which is a shame, but to be honest, I should really start collecting, but you can only collect so much, you know what I mean? So, Turok Seeds of Evil, I would recommend playing that on the remaster. I've got it on N64, and I don't have the memory expansion pack currently. In fact, my N64 is just up there. Basically, it's a bit on the rough side, if I'm honest. Well, I thought it was anyway. I don't think it holds up very well. But I say the same thing for Siphon Filter on PS1. I think that game looks horrendous by today's standards. But then I also I adore GoldenEye, and you know, a lot of people say that don't hold up. So, each to his own, I guess. But there used to be like really, really cool things with these where you'd get like what's called you get like a Saw Thumb Award. If it got a Saw Thumb Award, it meant it was a really, really good game. It was and they'd recommend you buy it and play it. And it's just kind of interesting, like you know, you damage your health for a video game. But I mean, I get RSI in my hand. It comes and goes as it pleases. Cause I'm more predominantly on my right hand, and yeah. But I would recommend playing the Turoks on the remasters they've done. They've done remasters for 1, 2, and 3, I believe. They're well worth doing. I believe they killed Turok off in the 3rd game as well. Banjo-Kazooie, I've never played it. It's a collectathon game. And Banjo-Tooie, the other one. Very, very popular in 64 games. Unfortunately, they were purchased by Microsoft, who then did basically absolutely nothing with a great deal of their IPs. Sadly, they did do a nuts and bolts Banjo-Kazooie, but I didn't hear particularly positive things about it, unfortunately. But yeah, 1080 Snowden, that was a popular one. I never played it, but I heard a lot of people used to rave on about that. N64 really was the king of racing and platforming games. Well, neck and neck with PS1, I suppose, when you compare Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon and Croc and some of the more lesser known sort of 3D platformers that came out in those early PS1 and N64 days. My PS5 appears to be doing some sort of update without telling me. Thanks. F-Zero X. That's a really, really good one. You can play the follow-on game on GameCube's Nintendo Classics on the Switch sort of classic service. But I want to own these games. I do not want to be paying more subscriptions. I'm sick and tired of subscription fees. South Park. Rough as hell, that game. But yeah, South Park's pretty iconic. I haven't watched it for, I don't know, 15 years. It's been a long, long time since I've actually watched South Park. But it is very much a sort of teenage demographic. But I do remember a film they made called is it Basketball or something? And that was a good laugh. And obviously the I can't remember what it's called now. The Thunderbirds type movie they did, which was good fun. But yeah, I've not really found much of their stuff of late. That's a weird one. Mission Impossible. That is really, really weird. As I said before, it's like they haven't got the licenses for the Mission Impossible franchises as such. But yeah, apologies. I had the thing zoomed in without realizing it. So yeah, Mission Impossible. I think I got down into like the underground section of the game, but the game's really, really difficult. Again, it's a game that really suffers with draw distances. I did a video on it many, many moons ago. But yeah, I don't know, what's that? Is that cartoon mode? Unlimited ammo, unlimited health. That'd be handy. No level select though. It's a really difficult game. Benny Hill mode. Interesting. Warzone. Actually, I've only ever played the PS1 versions. I don't know what the N64 version's like. I imagine the controls are just as complicated. But I think I played it once. But I played Attitude, which came out after it, and just the same game basically. Just not very good games, honestly. But it's fun to look back. Mario Kart 64. Yeah, that might be my favourite Mario Kart. It might be the one I've spent the most time with. I never really played much of the Super Nintendo version, which a lot of people swear by. For me, it was always the NC. I played so much with, speaking about a friend called Sarah, her brother Adam, we played so much Mario Kart 64. It's just brilliant. I think it holds up. I really do still think it holds up quite well. The GameCube version, Double Dash, which I've bought recently, but I think Mario Kart 64 is a more expensive one. It's about £35 to £40 now. Box and cart. It's well worth picking up if you're into that. Body Harvest. I've never played that. Looks very Alien-esque. There's a few on N64 that are, like Resident Evil 2 is really expensive. I think that requires expansion pack. I'm not sure. What was the other one? There's StarCraft 64. That's one that's like fascinating. How that even came to be. Because StarCraft is incredibly hardcore. GoldenEye, in my biased opinion, best shooting game on the N64 by far. God damn it. As much as I think Perfect Dark took what GoldenEye did and perfected it to such a degree, and you need the expansion pack to really get everything out of that game. And Perfect Dark is probably the better multiplayer mode because there are more options on it, but GoldenEye is just, it's so good. The single player is decent, but multiplayer, 4 players, it's awesome. That came back, that was re-released on Switch and on Xbox via Game Pass, but you could only play the multiplayer mode on Switch. Like, can you imagine co-op on GoldenEye on a Series X or a PS5? That would have been amazing if it had been done and released, but it was just emulated, and it wasn't. It had the same issues, like the low, I think it's like 13 to 16 frames a second in the multiplayer mode. That'd be amazing. They did do a re-release, which I've talked about before, and the re-release is incredible. Unfortunately, that re-release was never released officially. It was just leaked. But if you get all of it on the internet, if you want to see it for yourself, it makes the game... you can play through the game, but there are graphical game bugs that make the game crash and lock up sometimes. But play GoldenEye. It's awesome. It's also one of the... It's definitely Pierce Brosnan's best Bond film, in my opinion. And it's a lot of fun. Not played Mortal Kombat 4 before. I've played the earlier games. I've played is it Armageddon on PS2, I think it was. That was pretty good. Mortal Kombat games, I can sort of take or leave it. They're, particularly the bosses at the end, they're just OP as hell. But they're fun nonetheless. The Classics collection is being re-released. So I think that's 1, 2, and 3, the original 2D games. But when that came out in the 90s, politicians kicked up a stink about that one. The violence, the gore. I was always more Street Fighter personally, but I had an appreciation for Mortal Kombat. And that's what basically brought in the ratings guide for video games and stuff. So that's an interesting bit of history. Never played Iggy's Wrecking Balls. Looks like a weird one to me. Forsaken, again. Never played it. Wish these are in colours. You can actually see these a bit more clearly. Extreme G, I think, is it Extreme G or is it F-Zero X? One of the two. The GameCube one is one I've been looking to pick up at some point because it looks really good. I never got on with things like Wipeout. I don't know what it is. I just couldn't play the game properly. It just bounce off the walls all the time for some reason. But again, people love Wipeout. That was a studio, I believe it was it Liverpool based, I think? Jesus Christ, she ain't wearing much, is she? Bloody hell. But, yeah. Extreme G. Glover is another 3D puzzler. With... I've never played it, so I can't... It looks quite puzzle-based, though. Those are the kind of games that will pick up in value because they're so obscure by today's standards and stuff. Again, Gex, that was on PS1. As I said, it had... well, the PS1 version had two different voice actors, a US voice actor and a UK voice actor. And there may have even been different regions for different countries. I'm not really sure on that one. Apparently I can't turn the page. Shadows of the Emperor is a weird one. Like, it's kind of always under... Ironically, it's under the shadow of Rogue Squadron, which was the better of the two games. But from what I understand, and I've never played Shadows before, it's actually got quite an interesting story. The character you play as in it. But that might be one to pick up someday. I keep looking at the N64 Castlevania games, because they're really janky as hell by today's standards, but they look kind of interesting. I remember my friend playing through it after school or during his lunch breaks. It looked interesting. Scars, it looks like a racing game. I've never played it. I might even, with these guys, I could probably look up on eBay and see how much these prices for these things actually go for. Duke Nukem, played one of them with a friend on PS4, PS5 a while back. Yeah, bit controversial. It's just a joke, and it's just a dude that's incredibly sexist, and it's just fun for what it is. Don't take it too seriously. It's the 90s, man. The 90s were just a much cooler time, much easier going, and people weren't absolutely insane like they are today. Clay Fight is 33.5. From my understanding, not a particularly great fighting game, but an incredibly expensive game. I think that's in the region of about £200 to £300, if not more, pounds to buy. It's weird, these games that are, quite frankly, not that great, but they're so obscure and so rare that they go for so much money. So it's a bit of a weird one. Quake 64, I've never ever come across that, and I don't think that's even on Game Pass. That could be an interesting one, actually. But it's Quake. I have played Quake on PC before. Tetrasphere, I've never played it. Could be an interesting Tetris game. Rangun Kids. Just about as mad as a game can get before it's carted away by the men in white coat. It looks weird, I'm not going to lie, but I bet that's an expensive one. Definitely want to look up on eBay. F1, that looks quite realistic for an N64 game, actually. Yeah. If you're forgiven for watching but other racing games we've seen on the system to shame, you'll be forgiven for thinking you're watching TV at Target. Okay, mate. Don't quite believe that, but you know what I mean. Yoshi's Story, never played it. I did play a little demo of Is It Willy's World, and didn't do nothing for me. I just thought it was just cutesy and just, I don't know, I just didn't think much to it personally. Doom 64, excellent game. As challenging, in my opinion, if not more challenging than the original Doom. You can play it on Game Pass, or you can pick it up on the N64 itself, but Game Pass is probably the easiest way to play it, and it's really, really good. I think it's on the service. Biofreaks, never heard of it, never played it. Wet Tricks, never heard of it, never played it. Looks like a weird puzzle game. And of course, Buster Move. I think that's about it. I think we're coming to the end. I hope I'm not boring people too much, but I thought it'd be just interesting just to look through some of these old stuff. Robotron 64. Top Gear Rally could be kind of interesting. But that picture is from Top Gear Overdrive. Not Rally, because I've got the cartridge up there for it, and it actually has that picture on it. It's just a shame I didn't keep the manuals for them, sadly. I was an idiot. If I can find it, it's here somewhere. There it is. So that's a bit of... So that is Top Gear Rally Overdrive, which, as I said, has got some of the worst controls in human history. Snowboard Kids, never played that, and All Star Baseball, never heard of that one. And then the last one, at least, the Nintendo's official Awesome Collection. Oh, that's a blast from the past. I think that's No Mercy, that's Kane. Best games you could ever wish for. So what is this exactly? That's all the tips. Banjo-Kazooie. Beetle Adventure Racing I've heard quite a lot about. I've heard a lot of positive things about that one. Donkey Kong 64 is another one. I think that requires the expansion pack to play. Duke Nukem Zero. ECW Hardcore Revolution. Never played that. Excite Bike. FIFA 99. ISA 98, which is basically Pro Evo before it was called Pro Evo. International Track and Field. Jet Force Gemini. Lilac Wars. That's what it was called in Europe and UK. Obviously, US will know it as Star Fox 64. It's the same game. Excellent game. Was the first game I got with my N64, and I was literally addicted to it for weeks because there was so many different. There's like 3 different level areas you could unlock depending on, and you had to figure out how to do it all, and it's just fun as hell. Mario Kart. Mario Party is really popular on N64. I think there's like 2 or 3 on. Is it 1 or 2 on N64? And there's like. I must be on like Mario Party 9 or something at this point. I can't remember. Mario Tennis. Mickey's Speedway. I've heard that's supposed to be quite a good kart game. Operation Winback. Oh, that's an awesome bit of artwork. Ocarina of Time. Perfect Dark. Pokemon Puzzle League. Pokemon Stadium 1 is awesome. So 2. Yet to pick that one up yet. Premier Manager 64. Quake 2. Resident Evil 2 is on N64 is one I'd like. Never played Ridge Racer 64. Rocket Robot on Wheels. Shadow Man I've heard of. I think there was a PlayStation game as well. South Park Rally. Episode 1 Races. That was re-released. I think that might be on. Is it on Game Pass? It's either Game Pass or PS Plus. I've definitely seen it on one of the services. Super Smash Brothers. I never got into Smash Brothers. Same with the PlayStation All-Stars game. It looks alright. I just never saw much in it, to be honest, personally. But that's just me. Tarzan. Never heard of it. World Is Not Enough is a follow-on to GoldenEye. It's nowhere near... Well, after Perfect Dark, it's nowhere near as good as GoldenEye. But it's not actually a bad game. It's on PS1. I've got a cheeky thingy pirate copy of it, I think, somewhere. Because I got a PS1 chipped back in the day. I wish I'd got the games genuinely now, but I was a teenager. You know, I was at school. Couldn't afford games all the time, but no excuse. But yeah, it's not a bad game. World's Not Enough. It's nowhere near as good as GoldenEye, but I think it was EA. I think it was EA or one of them did that. Turok Caesar. Turok Rage Wars is the multiplayer one, I think, for Turok, and that might be the one. It's either that or Turok 3 was the one that had the bug where you had to send the game back in again and get, because there was a game breaking bug or something. No Mercy is awesome. Attitudes in there. Ocarina is definitive as one of the best games of all time. That's more controversial now because of how good Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are. Majora's Mask is the one Zelda I've never... Well, it's the one Zelda that's I've never played, and they apparently did it in a year as well, apparently. Even gives you prices, and I don't know when was this made, this book, just out of curiosity. I don't know what it is, they don't seem to list the years on these things. Well, it's going to be the late 90s anyway, or early yeah, it doesn't say. So Banjo-Kazooie, $29.99, 96% on the game score. Obviously, these are going to be kind of biased because it's the official Nintendo magazine. I assume they're still around to this day, I would imagine. I haven't really bought a magazine in many, many moons. Banjo-Kazooie. Beetle Adventure. That looks quite good, actually. Beetle Adventure Racing. in at 44.99. Could have done some colour pictures. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Diddy Kong Racing, 40 quid. That's actually quite sensible for an N64 game. I think Lilac Wars was about £59. I think 60 quid. And I think that came with the Rumble Pack as well, which it's hilarious because today the controllers vibrate. You had to click connecting a Rumble Pack. In fact, let's see if I've got it. I haven't got it, but what you'd have to do is I haven't got the Rumble Pack. I don't know. I haven't got it where it is, but with the N64 pads, so people just used to hold it like this as well. Like it's fairly obvious you hold it like that, but a bit devish, I guess. But just as an example, N64. This is the Game Boy player thing. You'd basically slot it in and then do that, and then you'd obviously you can slot your Pokemon games in there, but it's very janky. It has to be straight in, because otherwise sometimes when it moves it'll just cut out and the game will stop working. It'll just freeze. But yeah, you'd slam in your N64 Rumble Pack in there. You'd have two AA, sorry, is it AA or AAA, I think it is, that would go into the pad, into there. But I don't know where my Rumble Pack actually is at the moment. I've got it somewhere. This is actually an old. I bought this back in. This is 99 or 2000. I don't think I've ever used it. I have no idea how you even. It goes in there, but I don't know if it's got any game saved. I haven't got a monkey's clue, to be honest with you, which is kind of weird. But it was a gold controller. So there, I've only got a standard thingy N64, but I got a gold controller because it came with GoldenEye, which is just one of those experiences I don't think I've ever had again when it comes to gaming. But man, the nostalgia is both amazing, and it makes you sort of disappointed in some stuff when you come back and play it now. Donkey Kong 64 again, $59.99. It's a bit expensive. Duke Nukem 0 at 49, 92%. Interesting. The one I've never played is Pokemon Snap. And it never looked that interesting to me, just going around taking pictures of Pokemon. It just seemed kind of janky to me. I don't know, although I did watch Tyler's retro reviews, and he said he got addicted to that, to the point where I believe he said that his father told him not to ever play the game again or something. Really good channel though. I really recommend checking it out. EC Hardcore, I didn't know ECW was around back then, but because wasn't it bought out by WWE in the end, I think? Looks very much like Attitude to me, from what I can tell. Yeah, it looks like Attitude. Excitebike 64, quite a popular one, 93%. Excitebike, I remember the NES one for Excitebike. It was okay. That's cheap for F-Zero X, 30 quid. 92. There's a lot of multiplayers, like 1 to 4 players. FIFA 99. 50 quid. That sounds about right. Wow, GoldenEye. 30 quid. 94%. I can agree with that. And again, you've got all your. As you've seen the cheats already, but all your different cheats. Different bonds. Tiny bond. Paintball mode. ISA. 93%. 40 quid. They're quite generous on their scores on some of these. International track and field. 94%. Jet Force Gemini, which I've heard people say good things about, but I've never played it. 93%. Lilac Wars or Star Fox 64. Yeah, I can agree with that. Only 30 quid. Mine was. Well, I remember getting. I got it in a big box with the game in a box, the manual, and I think I've got the manual somewhere. I haven't got the box anymore, sadly. 30 quid. Yeah, different routes you can go and stuff. Mario Golf, that's a mainstream of Nintendo. I don't think I've ever played it though. Mario Kart 64, that's cheap for Mario Kart, 30 quid. 90%, I can certainly agree with that. Mario Party, I've never played. The only party games on N64 I've even dabbled in that, in just not even really the game, it's just Pokemon Stadium, the puzzle mini games on it as such, or mini games. Mario Tennis, 44.99, 92%. Mickey's Speedway, it's one I've never played. Which looks like a very good sort of Mario Kart imitator. Though I have heard that Mario Kart, the new one on Switch 2, is in quite competition with the Sonic X Racing. Is it Sonic Crossroads or something? I played Sonic Transformed back, was it about 14 or something like that, 2014? And that was good fun. They were throwing a bit of their old Sega Nintendo rivalry at the time as well, recently as well, a few weeks back, which is kind of cool. A lot of memories, nostalgia mostly, I guess. Mortal Kombat 4, 40 quid, 90%. Players 1 to 15. That's got to be a typo, surely. 1 to 15, how? If anyone could explain that to me, players 1 to 15, that has got to be a typo. There's only 4... Yeah, that's got to be a typo. It must be a typo. Someone investigate that if that's true. 1 to 15 players, that's got to be a typo. NFL, never played NFL. No, I played one NFL game once, and it was actually quite fun. The only thing I found frustrating is every time the ball went out of play, you had to reset up again, and I found that quite frustrating because you got to set up again, and then just found that kind of frustrating. But it was quite interesting. Operation Winback. You can play that on the Switch service as I speak, I believe. I don't know what it's like in terms of game-wise and stuff. Perfect Dark, awesome. 90, I can agree with that, definitely. 97, 50 quid. Yeah. Make sure you've got the expansion pack because you can't use everything on that game otherwise. But it's really, really good. And it's a perfect follow-on to GoldenEye. It's probably better in a lot of ways in terms of multiplayer in the grand scheme of things, but GoldenEye is still so good. Pokemon Puzzle League. Never played it, so I can't speak much to it. So this would have been probably before Stadium 2 came out. I'm not sure the best way to play Pokemon. If you want to play it on the big TV, you've got a couple of options. You've got the Super Nintendo Game Boy, or Game Boy... Is it Game Boy Super? I can't know if that's what it's called. You can slot into the Super Nintendo. I don't think that's what it's called. I can't remember what it's called. Or you can do the N64 route where you can... Stadium 1 only supports yellow, red and blue. It doesn't support gold or silver or crystal. Stadium 2 does support all 6 games. Yellow, red, blue, crystal, gold and silver. Or you can do what I've got up there. GameCube with a Game Boy player. But it's... Those older games, especially the first gen and second gen, it's always good to be able to play them on Stadium because you can unlock other things, change colours. I believe Pikachu can learn Surf as well. There's all sorts of cool things. Still want to get Stadium 2 at some point. There's a picture of Pikachu learning Surf. But as I said, they're just a bit janky when it comes to trying to run them on the N64, just because if the transfer pack connection or the thing goes in, as I showed in the controller, it doesn't go in right, then you have all sorts of connection issues and problems. You have to clean the contacts and things like that. Premier Manager 64, a weird one for a football game on an N64. Played a few on PS1, LA Manager, that kind of thing. Quake 2. Quake 2 was I've played many times. Not on N64, I think I played it on PS1. We used to play multiplayer with a multi-tap. That was always good fun. It was Nvidia did was one of the first RTX demos, I think, for RTX effects and stuff. It's not a bad Quake game. It's more sci-fi than the first game, and then I think the third game was a multiplayer Unreal type tournament game, and then the fourth game I played on PC. It was sci-fi based again. That's one I'd love to pick up at some point, but it is very expensive now, and I think that's one that's got the references in the notes to Jill trying to escape the city, because obviously Resident Evil 3 is set before Resident Evil 2. Yeah, and Resident Evil 2 is a classic, and to be able to fit all the FMV scenes onto the cartridge. I think the cartridges on N64 are only something like 700 megabytes compared to, I'm guessing PS1 was about 600. I think a disc at the time was about 650 to 700 megs per disc, and there was 2 discs. So if I'm understanding that correctly, but one definitely pick up. I think you need the expansion pack for that as well. Ridge Racer 64. Never played it, unfortunately. Ridge Racer was always good fun. I haven't seen many of them so much now. They are around, but not something I pay that much attention to. Rocket on Wheels, never heard of it. Looks weird as hell. Shadow Man, heard of it. More so PS1 than N64. South Park, that'd come in handy, invincibility, because the game is really hard. Considering all you're doing is killing chickens. South Park Rally, never played it. But I haven't heard particularly big positive things about it. But again, you know, episode 1, that requires the expansion pack. But you can play that on PS. I think it's PlayStation. I'm pretty sure it's PlayStation that's on. It's hard as well. I remember it being quite hard. Rogue Squadron, another one that needs the expansion pack to run. I remember playing it once. It's a good game. The GameCube ones like Rogue Squadron 2 and 3 are probably better games, but it's well worth playing if you get the opportunity. Mario 64 is just an absolute classic. Some people don't think it holds up, but I do personally. I think it's a shame that it's what Sonic should have been. Sonic, in my opinion, never transitioned to 3D in any real great way. Sonic Adventure wasn't bad. It came a little bit closer, but that's why for me with Sonic stuff, I always prefer the 2D stuff. I just don't get on with 3D. The best one I've ever played is probably Generations, and even that was okay. I still think it's janky. Sonic Frontiers was another one I saw. I played a demo and I didn't think that much to it. I just thought it was kind of just, I don't know. It was like Breath of the Wild, but for Sonic. But Zelda's just got a much more interesting world, whereas Sonic was just, it's kind of like a skateboarding type game in terms of like the layout. You'd find rails randomly occurring in the city or in the world map and stuff. I don't know. I didn't play enough of it. I tuned out before I really could get into it. But yeah, Mario's made the transition to 3D. A lot of people now say the Galaxy games are the best games, and I've played a little bit of Galaxy, and the traveling from different planets is really, really crazy and quite interesting. The mechanics of the game. And they're getting a re-release on Switch 1 and Switch 2. I think they're charging like $70 or something for both of them. Like, they're just ports, but which I think is a bit overly priced. But I think 64 is still the best Mario game, really. It's just a shame the N64 outputs such poor video quality, particularly the PAL one I've got. I believe the American ones and the Japanese might output RGB, but we've got composite and I think maybe S-Video possibly, if you've got an adapter that can... I think if you use a Queso cable, you can pull S-Video out of it, but it still looks pretty rough. But it's just the output of it. Super Smash Bros. People love those games. Never played them. Never really interested me, to be honest. Probably quite fun if you've got multiplayer. Tarzan. Never heard of it. Never played it. I bet that's an expensive one. I wouldn't be surprised. 1080 Snowbone, we've been through on that one before. 30 quid. I used to remember Cool Boys, as I said before, on PS1. They were good fun, but I imagine they're pretty janky by today. The Worlds is not enough. It was alright when I played it on PS1, what I played of it. But it's not... The World is not enough. Was that the one with Christmas Jones? I think it was Christmas Jones. Is that the one where he jumps off a balloon and he injures his wrist or something, if I remember correctly? Tony Hawk Skateboarding. I like Tony Hawk games for about 20 minutes. I used to play the multiplayer mode and try and build up as many points, and that was good fun. But after that, I kind of tuned out. The gameplay didn't really interest me other than just multiplayer mode and see how many multiplayers you could get, how many points you could build. It was more the soundtrack. on that. The soundtrack is awesome. I don't know if it's on the N64 game. It's on the PS1 version, and I think a lot of them have been re-released on modern generation systems anyway. Turok, again, I've said, decent, very, very good game. But if you can play the remasters, unless you... Because I've got 2, and, I mean, I haven't got the expansion pack, but it's rough as hell. It looks really, 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 really bad. But again, Rage Wars, I think, was the multiplayer one for Turok. Attitude, truly terrible wrestling game in every sense. That was one of the last ones I think Acclaim did, before they went out of business, if I'm understanding correctly. It's more so just the control scheme on the game is just shite. It's just terrible. But I remember having a lot of creative wrestler and all the creative modes. That's where it's at. It's janky, but No Mercy and WrestleMania 2000 before. They're just... The controls are pretty decent. They run well. It's flipping hard as well. I got stuck on the career and I couldn't get through a certain... Because it was like a 2-on-1 and I just couldn't win, no matter what I tried. Because the wrestlers wouldn't get out the ring. So I couldn't separate them long enough to knock one down, get in, take the one out, and then pin them. So, but it's a cheap one. It's only like 15 quid if you just want the cartridge. No idea what it goes for, box and cart, but really, really good. Ocarina of Time, GOAT, basically, on the N64. By far possibly the best Zelda game, but it's debatable which one you prefer the most. Ocarina is the one that really, to this day, still lingers in my head. Particularly that goddamn water temple as an adult. Oh, it was a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. But yeah, and more cool art there. So yeah, cheat books, tip books. You don't see them anymore. They're awesome. They really are awesome. And I've gone on far too long. 30 minutes, Jesus. Excellent games. Excellent cheat books. I've got some more somewhere as well. The days before you didn't have to pay. I love the 90s and the 2000s. I'm getting too old. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I apologise if I've bored anyone. I just thought this would be a nice blast through the past.